Well. Somehow the hiccups didn't return just in time for King Arthur Pendragon 5.2, the Great Pendragon Campaign, episode 30. Audience at home, know this. There still isn't any 6.0, and no one knows when it's going to come out at this point. So, get mad, I think.
Didn't someone put a June date in there?
It will come out when Greg Stafford rises from the grave.
Listen, I don't need Greg Stafford to rise from the grave. He already stopped by on my YouTube channel and said that I ran Pendragon correctly. All right? I got the Greg Stafford bump. All right? I don't need him to give me the 6.0 flag. He has already given me his blessing. Give me the rules. I, a tabletop game designer, will review them, and Greg Stafford will speak through me. I think I've just formed new Protestantism. Oh boy. Okay, so is there anything anyone needs to announce before we get back to fucking around with fairies, aka King Arthur Pendragon, the bad years?
I'm good.
Yeah.
Carrying around to find out.
Let's go to the forest sausage.
Well, here we have BigSpoon dropping sub messages like "May the 4th be with you." Just in case that doesn't make sense for you at home, audience, if you're watching on YouTube, this is being recorded on May the 4th of the year 2024. The Spoon is a Star Wars fan. I don't know if you know that. He is a Star Wars fan.
A little bit.
Yeah, could happen. Okay, now James is getting in on it. They're memeing together. There's nothing better for a show than to have the game master describe what the players are doing, and yet describing what messages they're putting in the Twitch chat somehow seems less good. Sir Kendric, you ride towards 3 stones, which are called... and I was not prepared for this.
I believe they're called the roll right stones.
Yes, the roll right stones. You approach the stones, and as you approach... See, this is the thing about running this adventure. Audience, come over with me. Come to the upper left-hand corner. Hey, what's up, audience? How's it going? Sidebar. The rest of them can't listen. Hey, here's the problem. 2 of these dummies already ran this. So I decided to change a few things so these guys aren't just going to be like, yes, I know the secret password that only someone who had dug up your treasure from the well would know. That's community reference. Yeah, I'm going to do things a little bit differently is what I'm going to say. Because otherwise, these guys already know exactly what happens. And while that's fine for normal Pendragon, this is supposed to be an adventure about mystery and faffing, fucking around, finding out. You approach the roll right stones, 3 massive stones that have something pagan about them. Whether it's a druidic magic or whether it is sort of ancient Celtic, there is a feeling of less than stillness here. There's a feeling that you are being watched by something beyond sight. The stones simply wait, slightly wet despite the dry air. And from the edge of the forest, you can see a pack of dogs roaming with several handlers following. They are watching you. And now that your attention has been called to them, you can see that there is a knight hastily putting on armor, taking a shield emblazoned with a sigil, and mounting himself from his guard post into the middle of the road that runs past the roll right stones, as if to block your path from going further into the forest. They do not ride out to meet you, but they have noticed you, and they have set the dogs out.
Are the dogs coming to me?
No, the dogs.
Okay.
The dogs are patrolling the edge of the forest line.
Fair.
They're not letting you know they're there. They're not baying or like pawing at you, but they are slinking along while being handled.
Can I perhaps make a heraldry check to try and see if the shield has a device that I recognize? You know, it's a long shot, but who knows? Yeah, failure.
You are from Kimrickian lands, and of course you're from Salisbury. But what happens in this triangle along the royal roads has always been something of a, to put it in your own words from last week, a Bermuda Triangle of mystery. What happens inside the King's Road is the business of no one, except those who live there.
So have we all seen this group, or is it only...
The rest of you are still in the church being blessed by a unusually fortunate priest who handed you proclamations of biblical stories. I believe both of the stories were Old Testament in nature.
Yeah, I got the Good Samaritan.
Indeed.
Yeah, and you got the prodigal son.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kendric dismounts his horse and like pulls out a little bit of like rations and food and like a small candle and lights the candle and like gives a offering of like little breadcrumbs and a little bit of meat into the candle.
Okay. Roll Fairy Lord. Critical fumble, my friend. My friend.
Little friend.
You do this, and as you've turned away, the instant you turn away, just as soon as one of the roll right stones is out of your sight, the things you have left as a sacrifice lift up, a face forms on one of the roll right stones, and it all just goes straight into its mouth. It closes, you turn back around, you're like, where did those sacrifices go? No faces are seen on any of the stones.
And, you know, he goes, oh, that's weird. And remounts his horse and rides back towards the road.
Okay. As you do, the knight who was standing in the road at the guard post puts his shield down and has his squire begin disarmoring it. Now that it is clear that you are no longer riding deeper into the forest.
Okay. Yeah, no, I will head back to the village.
Okay.
So we all emerge from the temple then?
Yeah,
From the church?
sure. Why not?
Okay. All right, Kendrick, I think we are ready.
Well, there is while I was out at the stone circle on the edge of town, there is a knight who bars our path, or at least seems to be prepared to do so. I didn't actually speak with him, but there seems to be a guard post that we'll have to pass moving forward.
Surely we can treat with the knight.
Let's hope so. Are we all ready to ride out?
Indeed.
All right, we ride out on the road towards the forest.
You ride with Hayden, your squires in tow, and a baggage train of animals carrying your things for an adventure. And as you ride, you can see that 3 knights have assembled to block your path. One of them is hastily putting his armor back on again the same night. All of them carry a shield where 3/4 of it have the same sigillary, and the upper left-hand quarter of it has a different sigil. On your approach, you can see that there are several footmen about and attendants who are keeping the dogs at bay. The dogs have been set on either side of this guard post at the edge of the forest, as if to keep you from bolting around this road and making your way deeper.
To make it clear that we're not wielding weapons and that we mean to treat. Like sort of like walk up with like a hand up to sort of signal both a greeting and we're not not arming ourselves. That's what I'm doing. Right hand up, left hand on the reins.
Yeah. Kendric will do the same.
As will Kyned.
As you approach, one of the knights steps forward and says, "'Tis a strange thing to see a man from the west so far to the east. I know of thee, Sir Kendric, of the plains, if I am not mistaken. Your reputation has carried you far, slayer of a duke."
You seem to have me at a disadvantage, as I do not yet know you.
My glory does not carry beyond the bounds of these woods. And if you are wise, your glory will not carry you within it. The Earl has set us here to guard our town and to guard you from these woods. If you will not turn away, I would ask instead that you wait here so that you may speak with him yourselves.
Which Earl do you serve?
You would come this way without knowing whom it is that I serve? Foolish your quest is, then, to enter into the forest of the fairy without knowing the slightest thing about the outside of it.
Perhaps you are not abreast of current events.
What happens outside the forest is of little import to those who live here.
So were you not subjects of King Uther? Did you not serve the king while he
There
was
is
alive?
no true king of Logris. Of that we are all in agreement. The magic which guarded this place is now loose in the world. Something which should not have been taken has been taken.
How old is this guy?
The man you're talking to right now?
Mhm.
He seems to be in his early 30s, but there is a sort of quality about him that gives him a solidness and steadiness of an older man.
Mhm. Might I have your name, Sir Knight?
My name. My name is Barriston.
Pleasure to meet you, Sir Barriston.
It is not displeasurable to have met you. Might you introduce your companions to me while we continue our discussion?
Very well. We are the Knights of the Order of the Axe. You already know me. My compatriots are Sir Gwgan, Sir Kyned, and Sir Hayden. And then our two probationary members, Sir Seed and Dame Erwin, along with our squires.
Dangerous people you ride with. It is not many who would trust their back to an oathbreaker.
Kendric just raises an eyebrow. We're making an awareness test to see if any of our NPC companions have any reaction to that.
Hayden has at length talked about that it's a bad thing to, murder a Christian after super promising not to murder a Christian. I mean, Yeah, I mean, in a holy place, an unarmed woman. I mean, we've gone through this whole song and dance. There's definitely some oath breaking there, and while he got around it spiritually, he has not gotten around it temporally.
Hey, I got around it legally in debate.
In a county fair, which is in no way legally binding, you won some measure of honor back and earned yourself some glory, but there is only one who can judge you, beyond God.
Seems I'm not the only knight of our order that you already are aware of.
I am not familiar with the face of Sir Gwgan until now, but there are few in the land of Logres who are not familiar with his crimes, I suspect. There are not many who would debase themselves so low. But I am not here to test your humility or resolve. I simply ask once again that if you do not turn away, which I strongly recommend, to wait here to speak with the Earl.
Kendric looks aside at Sir Gwgan and Sir Kyned.
I see no harm in. I mean, we have not come here to start fights or. I think it would be by the laws of hospitality. We should greet the lord of these lands before we enter them, if he will meet with us.
Very well. How long will it take for your Earl to arrive?
This night, Barristan turns to look over his shoulder at the companions that stand in with the road with him on either shoulder. They wordlessly pass looks and gestures at each other, and then Barristan settles in and says, "It should be several hours until he arrives.
Very well.
My lord is a busy man."
As are all Earls. Kendric orders Terwin to set up a tent and some camp chairs.
Would it not be wise for us perhaps to catch him on the way out then, so that we don't lose so much daylight, Kendric?
I believe protocol would have us meet him before we enter, and I feel as though should we try and force the matter, there will be conflict.
Yeah, it should be noted that when Kyned said that, like, all three of them had hands casually near their scabbards, and there was that sort of, clinking noise of them getting that first half inch of steel out so that it would come out
What role
easier.
would it be to know who rules these land, who the
Heraldry.
Earl is? Not recognize.
Oh, recognize. I would take recognize for sure. Yeah.
Or intrigue?
I don't think intrigue. I would take recognize, and I think heraldry would work for their shields since his heraldry is emblazoned.
I got a crit on recognize.
Well, go ahead and give yourself a check mark and recognize. Kyned, you are not the schemiest of schemers. You don't have a wife that's a spy. It is a different life for you, but you have gathered the papers and the staff of those who have done those things in the past. And so it is a shock to you, but perhaps not a surprise, that you recognize the heraldry emblazoned on one of the shields, that you recognize these lands. You do know vaguely of those who guard the southwest part of this forest. The man is named Earl Maylir, and his castle is Castle Tribute. Little is known of the man except that he is an excellent guardian, and that many knights who go to see him do not return. And that is not to say that they die. It is that they just write home saying they aren't coming back. On a critical, you also know that many knights have been captured by him in combat and then ransomed back home. But they normally speak well of their time in captivity. They're like, actually, it was kind of rad there. Like, they had a lot of poetry and artwork. It was like a wonderland. There wasn't a lot of fighting when we were there, but we just like lived, man. Have you ever lived before? It gives you a vague feeling of knowing that Enya lives in a commune with a bunch of other people who have all learned to speak Sindarin from Lord of the Rings, and that's how they communicate with each other. Is that a real fact, or did I just make it up?
Wait and find out.
Or you could just Google, does Enya live in a commune with people who only speak Sindarin from Lord of the Rings? Boone, are you Googling that right now?
I would say that Kyned says out loud so that, his companions hear it, as well as the knights who are barring our way. Well, then we will await Earl Maylair. I have heard nothing but good things about his hospitality.
The three of them look surprised. I'm putting it in Discord, by the way. And the lead one who's been speaking to you, Sir Barrison, says, there are few outside our lands that know this name. You are well spoken. Did they say that your name was Sir Kyned?
Indeed, of Laverstock.
You are a wise and learned man, Sir Kyned. Surprising.
He and Laverstock are full of surprises, as I'm told. As is Castle Tribute.
There's an R in there in the second part.
You brew it.
They awkwardly watch you while Kendric alone sets up camp.
I'll help.
It's less awkward as more people start doing it.
I was like, Kendrick's not actually setting up camp.
Yeah,
Terwin
you
is
set your
doing all the
squire
work.
to do it, yeah.
Yeah, and he's chilling in a chair.
But you're a knight. You're responsible for everything your squire does, so you're setting up camp.
For sure.
Seethe and Erwin also begin setting up like a small series of chairs and setting a place for the horses to stand, like a post. But Hayden remains fully on board with matching up against these guys on his horse, which they don't have. The three knights do not relax. They remain posted in a sort of wing formation, one forward, the other two on either side back, just posing like statues. Has to be exhausting standing like this in mail with shields.
Kendrick will to Sir Barrison and say, come and join us. Have a seat. Have something to drink.
Make a courtesy roll.
Success.
I would have you give me your oath that you are responsible for those who are here, and that as that responsible person, you will stand your honor for their actions should they attempt to breach this passageway.
Very well. You have my word.
Okay. They begin taking their helmets off. They start taking their mail off. Their squires come over and they come sit down with you. They definitely, they look like someone who's been standing for an hour in mail armor, like not cosplayer armor, but like true heavy, like almost 60 pounds worth of equipment, sweat pouring down them as they sit heavily with you and begin picking through some like chicken meat that they have in their pockets and taking a big drink of water.
Yeah, as I say, I will, pour them some glasses of or cups of water. It's a little early for wine.
Can you tell me why you have come here? to this place to seek entrance into the lands of the fairy.
Is he asking that just to Kendric directly?
I think he is asking it to Kendric, but in a way that makes it clear that he wants to have an answer from like everyone here.
All right, well, I'll let Kendric answer first then.
A foretelling, a prophecy that I would find a destiny in the forest.
Many have found things in the forest here. They have. You may find more than your destiny. There are many who have died within this forest.
There are many who have died outside of this forest.
For the first time, he gives a very slight smirk.
For my part, I have come here to support my brother in his quest, yet a wise person told us recently that to enter the forest without your own goal in mind is to invite doom. So after some soul searching, I considered the fact that my grandfather's family once was pagan and kept good contact with the ancient peoples. And I've heard it said that with the death of the king, the land itself is in uproar. So I simply wish to learn more about the peoples and the past that my family had decided to exclude a generation prior.
So he keeps his eyes locked on you, Kendric, while he's talking to Gwgan and says, learning about your past is commendable, especially if your people are one with the land and practice traditional Kymrician ways. However, I have a concern. It is true that the troubles that beset the land have come because the king is dead. This is a problem both spiritually and politically. But what concerns this forest is not the death of the king. It is that upon the king's death, a sword that should not have been taken was not returned. Truly an irresponsible choice to allow the sword to be taken. And he's looking at Kendric the whole time when he says this. Do you know of what I speak?
I know the sword.
It can and must and should be returned.
It awaits its wielder. A true king will rise again and draw forth the sword.
You speak of the sword and the stone.
I do.
I speak of a different sword. The sword and the stone is not Excalibur. And when he says that, a bunch of birds fly out of the forest nearby. And then you hear the baying of a wolf, and the dogs all turn into the forest and look nervous and begin whining. That is the sword which must be returned.
I have seen Excalibur. And this is a question for the GM. Yeah, I looked at the sword and the stone, and it was the same, was it not? Okay. Because I remember being told that it looked like Excalibur, so this is news to me. I'm making a note here.
So I guess this is a question, not so much for my character, but for Kendric particularly. Like, he was there when Merlin got the sword from the lake.
Yes. Well, he was part of the Merlin Defense Task Force.
I was in
got bonked.
the Call of Duty like red haze.
Okay, I was just wondering because we also saw Excalibur when it was drawn by Uther before the battle of when Golois basically surrendered.
Yeah, but that was from quite a distance. Kendric has seen it up close and was responsible for its recovery in some fashion. Which again, this guy seems to know about that, despite the fact that there were only 4 people that could know that, and 2 of them are dead. Your part in this world is known to us, Sir Ken.
And you should also know that I did not have any say over who has the sword and who took it and who has not returned it.
Just because you did not choose this path does not mean that it was not set before you. Nor does it mean that the consequences and responsibilities that come with it are not also borne by you.
I think he curses Merlin under his breath.
It is unwise to curse a wizard and a druid, especially at the edge of a place such as this. The trees, and as he says this, there's like a gentle wind and all of the tree branches knock up against each other. They say that the trees here talk to one another, miles away. It is unwise to curse the name of a wizard.
I'm aware. What would you have me do then? Return the sword? I don't know where it is.
Can you?
No. Because I don't know where it is. I don't know where Merlin is.
You are responsible for putting this quest out into the world. These problems with this forest are borne by your own hand. It knows. This forest will not be kind to one like you, Sir Kendric. If you were wise, you would leave. As he says that, he takes a sip of wine from a little flask and turns and then begins speaking in the Saxon language to one of the men next to him. Kind of laughs and they have a short conversation before turning back. Both of them look at you like whatever their whatever 2 lines they just said evolve around you.
I think, Kendric, while we still wait to speak with the Earl, you shouldn't discount the possibility that the conversation we're having right now, we'll have momentarily, are the reasons you were sent here. You may find more answers in this group than you find in the forest at all.
Indeed.
Not to say they won't follow you if you enter the forest, but just simply saying to keep an open mind that perhaps we've already begun what it is you came to do.
Barristan, I want to assume that like as this scene has been going on, it started to get like darker around, and now for some reason there's a campfire, and he's gazing into the fire and he says, "Run from it, fight it. Destiny comes all the same, Sir Kendric."
Prophecies have a way of fulfilling themselves, whether you want them to or not.
Do you claim now that your destiny is prophesized?
That's why I'm here. I was told I would find a destiny in the court of the king of the forest Sauvage.
When you say that, that is not something that you have revealed yet. And there is a pause among everyone here, and the knight who was spoken to in Saxon just immediately shoots up onto his feet and looks into the woods. And when he looks there, he sees that the attendants and the dogs are gone. Sir Barristan says, "What do you know of the king? Speak quietly."
Very little. Can I roll fairy lore?
Yeah, sure. I feel like this is a mistake, but okay.
A failure.
Okay.
It's like rolling Cthulhu mythos. Never works out well for you.
I have a -2 to religion, but if I hit a crit, will you let me know everything about the situation I'm in? You know what? Let's go with the Dimension 20 reference. Do you think the situation's getting any weirder because a hawk is assisting you with surgery right now? You rack your brain. You've heard the name of this individual only from the old woman who claimed to have prophetic knowledge of you in London streets.
Oh, next to nothing.
Good. That is how it should be. The knowledge that you have is the knowledge that you should have. It is unwise to ask questions about such an individual outside of his lands. The Saxon knight begins to move into the entryway, the guardhouse. He's like nervously looking at all of you and then looking into the forest where all of his attendants and dogs have disappeared.
May I ask, Sir Barristan, in your opinion, do you believe now knowing Kendric's quest will make it more or less likely that your Earl will grant us passage?
Many things may happen when you speak with the Earl. When I came here, I spoke with the Earl. Now I serve him. Many have come from afar, thinking they would quest deeper into the forest, and instead they have become part of this land. There is no shame nor dishonor. Perhaps you too will join us in our court of wonders. But if you were truly wise, you would go home and meet your destiny when it comes to you.
That would imply that you believe our destiny is not here.
I believe that your destiny is not a place, but a time. And it will come.
I would still speak with your Earl when he arrives.
When you say that, dramatically, there's like a and you can see that like 2 blocks of double lines, 10 by 2 infantrymen begin advancing out of the woods far to either side of you and begin moving in an almost Roman formation to enclose the camp as 40 knights begin to ride out of the woods with dozens of dogs and armsmen attending them. And the Earl riding on top of his horse. He's the one that's wearing, nice gloves. His armor is very strange. Now, see, Chad has already talked about having a hauberk today. So what this guy's wearing is padded armor underneath his chainmail, which makes him look extremely puffy to you. And you're like, oh, that's a pretty weird idea. That's very unusual. Hey,
Like he's wearing a gambeson.
Yeah, I would say it's more like a hauberk.
Okay.
Underneath mail. Hail and well met. I am Earl Maya, Lord Tribute. There's an R in there somewhere, and it's hard to pronounce. Don't smile. I'm a very serious character, and the Game Master is ruining me as a result. I have come here to speak with you, Sir Kendric and companions.
Hail and well met.
I do not know the rest of you, but you, Sir Kendric, are not unknown to this forest.
So it would seem.
He hops down from his horse, walks forward, and offers you a hand, and says, "Will you not clap my hand and greet me?"
Kendrick's hands and shakes his hand.
And then pagan.
I offer him a seat at the fire and a glass.
Ah, I am honored by your hospitality.
It seems you take your job of guarding this forest very seriously. And he looks around at the army.
You're being surrounded by people with naked steel out all around you. 40 knights with swords out, and then 40 men with great spears, sword, shield. They're not really heavily armored, but they are heavily armed, and they are specifically equipped to kill horses.
There's 6 of us. Plus squires, but...
Please, I come to speak to you under a flag of truce, and we have clapped hands.
Indeed.
You find yourself with the unfortunate choice of wanting to enter a dangerous and forbidden realm. You and I, we are but men. Beyond us, there are monsters in a land of the lost. Allow us to escort you back to the King's Road, so that you may return from whence you came without quarrel.
And if we refuse?
Do you refuse?
No, but hypothetically.
I do not answer hypothetical questions. Life is too short to bother with hypotheticals. I must have your answer. To the road or to refusal?
Maybe inform the Earl who it is you seek.
Would you hear my reasons for entering the forest before you hear my decision?
He leans back, takes a deep breath, looks over his shoulder at someone wearing a hood, looks back towards you and says, "I will hear your reasons, but there is little that can sway my mind in this, for this is the policy of my realm." Speak.
I was told by a crone in London that I would find a destiny in the court of the King of the Forest Sauvage.
It is a dangerous name to be throwing around outside of the forest. And if you were wise, you would keep such a destiny quiet, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
All I can say to that is, can you not be dissuaded to return back to where you are from? I am sure that Sir Barristan has opened up to you our feelings on this matter.
He has. And he has also made it clear that my involvement with the wizard Merlin and his schemes makes me a target for the forest.
They have?
Kendric looks at the rest of the Order of the Axe.
Seeth is very confused. He doesn't understand what's going on around him. Everyone that's in the group of the Order of the Axe seems strangely calm with the fact that you are surrounded with deadly force. It's also equally clear that Erwin is 100% ready to force her way through if necessary. Like, get on her horse and start killing her way through knights if it's needed. Hayden looks like a man who is aware of the unchristian nature of this quest and is truly wavering in resolve to go through with it. If this were a total war game, his morale bar would be flashing right now with a rapidly plummeting gray bar.
What about Sir Gwgan and Sir Kyned?
Well, my lord, you certainly present us with a Hobson's choice. If we were to have quarrel here, many would die, but what is certain is that we six and our squires would, which obviously serves no purpose. That's not to say that you have dissuaded us from the quest we set, simply that we cannot pursue it here at this time. That doesn't mean that we would not try and find other ways in to the forest in order to seek the answers that Kendric is after. But if the choice is bloodshed and death here or to return to the road, then there is obviously only one choice we've really been given. We won't waste our lives or the lives of your men for no gain here.
Kyned, how you feeling?
Kyned just gives Kendric the significant PC glance that he'll back whatever play that his sworn brother wants to do.
Now, we've talked about the significant PC glance so much, but I want to imagine this scene takes place in slow motion with, like, Kendric, his head turning, the shadows of the firelight falling over him, looking at the corner of his eye at you, and, like, you turning to look at him, a slow nod and an understanding. Kendric turns back, the music, the violins get so fucking dramatic at this moment, but all you can hear beneath it is the crackling of the forest. And then Kendric...
We will take the road.
When you say that, there's the sound of a bunch of people loosening themselves from mortal peril and, like, sheathing away weapons, moving back to the entryway to the guard post. Dogs being pulled back. So you never even saw, like, the packs of dogs that are also preparing to surround you and harass you if you try to get through it. Knights begin remounting, and the Earl says, "By my honor, I and my bodyguard will ride with you to the road. No harm shall come with you as you ride out of these lands. I cannot stop you from venturing further into this forest, but you will not lose your life, nor will you lose your way. In Tribruit, there's an R somewhere. Lands.
Tribruit.
I don't speak British English. I'm played by someone from a different Commonwealth country. It's a good mix of American and British actors to give it an international feel.
Well, Earl, it was Earl Tribruit. It was good to make your acquaintance.
I appreciate your attempt to pronounce the R. He gives you the man shake.
Mm-hmm.
Very different than the clasping of hands he started with, and says, "Good luck on your quest. You will require it. Your destiny will meet you one way or the other."
As it will with all of us.
As he turns to leave, you can see that his men are, like, gathering around the herald, and the herald is starting to sing a song to march everyone back to Tribruit lands, with the exception of Barristan and his two knights.
While they're preparing, who was the figure in the hood? Can I make an awareness check? Because I want to know.
I believe it's recognize, or is
Recognize,
awareness a
okay.
skill?
Well, I mean, awareness is a skill.
Yeah. I think it's going to be recognize here, because you may have already met this person. I don't remember who saw this person the last time they were here.
That's a failure.
Once again, this person who you failed to recognize for the second time walks off camera. This is going to be one of those things that, 7 or 8 movies down the line, we're gonna flash back and green screen in the reveal that this person was there in every scene, like in the Spider-Man movie. Hey, as our 6 defeated heroes and their squires and their horses begin making their way back to the roads, night coming down, we ourselves shall take a break. It's really, really hard being serious characters for me. Really quite difficult because I want to meme the whole time. But hey, there's an R in there somewhere.
You muted yourself before you started talking again after.
You're right. I did do that. Because I was about to pour out a big pile of liquid IV, who is not sponsoring this show, into my water bottle. Because when I drink water, I need twice as much water in my water. What I was saying is, before the break, I didn't want to address it because it's very difficult for me to be serious and play serious characters. James has fully committed to the bit today to make Star Wars references himself, because when the Earl was talking about various things, James put in chat, only a Sith deals in absolutes, and I desperately avoided reacting to it and also not making a Darth Plagueis reference. I'm gonna keep dodging it the rest of this episode, despite the fact that it's deep in my bones.
You should try spinning.
That's any trick.
Yep.
But before oh, go ahead.
No, I know. It's an in-game question, so if you're still something.
I was just gonna say I've continued to play X4 since last week. The first time I mentioned it, I think, was on Pendragon, and one person replied in the comment section saying they were an X4 player, and for some reason, everything they talked about got held in review on YouTube. So I just did the review of all of their comments on YouTube a couple hours ago. I finally saw your comments, friend. I like X4. I've really been enjoying leaving it on my computer and not playing it while my miner's die in the background. All right, James, hit me with your question. What gameplay knowledge would you like?
No, only that I wanted to ask the one more question. Like if we're moving to after we've separated from him, I wanted to ask him one more question before we leave his company.
You want to ask the Earl one more question?
Yes.
All right. Now, is this one more question like one more technical question? Or are you about to fucking Columbo me? Like,
no.
Oh, Earl, one more thing. I read the rule book and I happen to know that your true name is Brithar. And he's like, no, you have bound me by my gem and my true name.
My lord, may I simply ask, as an earl, to what liege do you currently pay service?
The only liege whom I serve is the true king of Logris.
But you have an oath to defend these lands. That oath was given to...
I have given you my answer.
Very well. Thank you for your hospitality in your lands. Your
insistence on that definitely causes some consternation with his bodyguard, and the Earl looks deeply troubled by this 2 sentences of conversation.
My next conversation is once we've separated from him.
All right. Who do you serve? How am I supposed to answer that? Jesus Christ? It's not Star Wars, but it's still Disney. Does that count?
All right. So once we're a decent amount away, I'd like to chat with the other two.
Okay.
I feel like I learned a lot from that interaction. First off, let's speak of the Earl himself. This is a man whose own troops tell of the fact that he gave them purpose. He welcomed them to his lands, and they have not returned to their homes because of that. That seems incongruous for a man who, within 5 minutes of meeting us, gave us the choice to leave his lands or die, which to me tells us, or tells me, given that he only knew you, Kendric, that this was less about his oath to defend these lands and more about a specific need to keep you out of this region, which is why I asked about who he served, because he didn't seem like a man who had any particular reason to be opposed to you, which means he must be serving someone that is. Now, if that individual has sway over more of the forest than just Trebruit, then we may find ourselves blocked at multiple angles. Something to consider before we look to re-enter the forest anywhere. That it seems to be there is definitely a force that wants to keep you specifically out.
Hayden
The second thing is...
puts a hand on your shoulder, Gwgan, nodding and says, Sir Gwgan has many good points that he has brought up, and I am equally impressed at his pronunciation of the word Trebruit.
Secondly, you notice that none of their men rode horses? I believe it's possible that the forest sauvage may be dense enough that horses are not an effective means of travel. In fact, there's probably a great chance that they will be injured or struck lame. So perhaps if we do intend to enter the forest, we should stable our horses wherever we choose to enter and continue on foot. It also would mean
Here
that
comes James and his logical deductions.
It would also potentially mean if we are trying to avoid similar patrols that we don't necessarily need to take the road.
I know our other option was Oxford, and does not the River Thames flow near there? We could follow the river in.
AP, could you repost the I don't know who's got it here, the Forest Sauvage.
Should be a handout,
Otherwise, right? Yeah, that's right. Otherwise, we continue north to Lambor and attempt to enter there rather than backtracking to Oxford, because for Oxford we'll have to head south all the way back to Silchester, all the way back to London to basically take the Thames up. So if we were to continue north to Lambor, there is an entrance there, and beyond that to Leicester.
Let's hope we can make inroads at Lambor then. I think you are all still committed to the quest.
I am concerned by what I have heard this day, Hayden says. I feel a trembling in my heart, but we are all brothers, and I will ride with you.
Can you give voice to your concerns, Hayden? I think that it's clear that whatever we do, we ride into danger. So
pagan magic has brought us here, and witchcraft keeps us from the forest. A true Christian might consider burning this land to the ground, if only that there is no true king. And so these lands belong to no one.
I will say I agree that an opportunity exists for those of us in God's light to shine the light of heaven into the dark areas that are still hampered by fey magics. But I think that to set to flame a forest which makes up, 10-15% of our nation would be a difficult proposition at best, and likely to cause significant harm even to godly people. But I would certainly say that whatever we do, if we enter this forest, we should be on our guard, because there is no doubt that we will face enemies, human and otherwise.
I agree.
Do we ride then for Oxford now, or do we wait for the morning?
I think we ride north of Lambor.
Lambor.
What we just
return to Oxford
decided.
would be to return to Oxford would have to go all the way pretty much back to London and then take the Thames up to Oxford. Whereas Lambor is but a few days travel to the north. In terms of miles, looking at this map, about 50 miles. Well, can we cover 20 miles in a day on horseback with a train?
Surely, at least.
It's an hour's gallop.
Well, actually, it's
I don't think our sumpter horses can gallop.
A train leaves. I'm not going to do it. You wait for the morning?
Yeah.
It is another day's travel that far north, at the least.
Yeah.
And after, let's say it takes several days to get to where you are headed to, you stand once more at the edge of this dark forest. So you pass through a forest on your way to Lambor and at it a point of entry at Lilbourne. But that is simply a forest, with the King's Road cutting through it on your way to Lambor Castle. It is truly much easier than what stands now in front of you. A wild and old and possibly magical forest that is difficult to get into. The Forest Sauvage.
just a question for you, AP.
Yes.
Those knights, they didn't count as Fae, did they? They weren't Fae.
Nope. Just
Okay,
humans.
cool. All right.
After all.
Yeah. I don't remember what I got it from, but I have increased honor with the Fae on this character in my notes.
It's from the sword quest. Not
was it?
The sword quest, but we'll say it was from the Indo Steel quest.
Ah, that one.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
Well, shall we enter the forest?
Should we not speak to the people of Lambor as we did in Port Burton to see if we can learn more about what to expect in the forest in their region? Or do we run the risk of alerting more defenders to our presence? Do we just ride through and enter? Or, as I said, we should definitely stable our horses in Lambor and proceed.
Yes.
That's what I believe.
And we should ask around.
Or do you want to ask in Lambor Castle, or do you want to ask at Leicester?
I mean, is there like a village that surrounds the castle? Is there like a?
Yes.
I mean, is it? Yeah. So I figure that if we're in Lambor itself, that I mean,
You ask around outside
if there's a
Lambor.
castle there, we probably should present ourselves to the lord of the castle, though, right?
Very well. James
We can
really
ask-
complicating this greatly. All right, here we go. Let him cook. You ask around outside the castle to begin with, and you find that most of the people that live here want nothing to do with the concept of the Forest Sauvage. They warn you away from going into it, but they will not stop you in any way. Many speak that a beautiful child has been born just up the road in Cameliard this year, and that perhaps she will be blessed under a sacred star of some kind. There is a series of plays. 2 are being put on by like famous troops, similar to what we have seen from Kyned, that are backed by nobles. And then there's like an unauthorized production that is doing a play called The Savage Wolf, and his many friends.
Go see that one.
Okay. Is anyone else going?
Yeah. I can get some culture.
Absolutely. As a patron of the arts.
Okay. All right. Your whole group goes and your squires. So it begins with someone wearing like a wolf's head mask who also has like a huge erection, you know, like a theatrical one. And he is alone on a battlefield and he's, "Ah!" And you can see that like his wolf's head is eating away at someone wearing like purple robes and knightly armor. And someone is like comically throwing buckets of red water as this dude is like eating away. It quickly becomes apparent that this play is actually about most of you. So there's not a lot of dialogue in the play, but this wolf knight who the first act we see him in is eating the heart of a man who he just killed brutally. While his clothes may change, the things that do not change about him, and indeed his clothes become fancier and fancier and he becomes wealthier and wealthier, but he cannot hide his massive erection, nor can he hide his wolf's mask at any time. So he meets parodies of each of you, and in doing so, like, first we see you before you meet him and you're good people, and then you meet him and you too become weird in some way or worse for yourself in some way. And in the scene where their XP or their parody of Sir Gwgan like murders a woman by stabbing her repeatedly in the back with a cross, so he like they don't know exactly what happened, right? But he's having a conversation with her, and it's one of the few pieces of dialogue, and we can see he's got like a knife and is whittling the cross down to a pointed stick, and he uses it like a dagger to stab her in the back, and she collapses dramatically in a cross shape. She T-poses as she dies, and he cackles over her dead body and begins dancing about kind of demonically, and we see from around the dresser the wolf's head pops out. Ow! And just more implications that simply being near Sir Kendric makes other people worse. The people here are losing their minds with comedy. For many people here, it's clear that this is not their first time watching it. They're anticipating their favorite scenes. They're queued up and ready for the Wolf Knight to do some crazy shit. Hayden leaves when his character comes on stage because Hayden's character is like white powdered face and like red cheeks, and everywhere he goes he gazes at men's buttocks, and Hayden just straight up leaves in a fury. And that's before he meets the Wolf King. They are definitely implying something about Hayden in the process. Well, how they make Hayden worse is that Hayden's character, again, not a lot of dialogue. It's clear that he used to have conviction and now he just questions everything. I think that like at some point someone hands him something and is like, right as rain, you know, it'll be just like the sun rising tomorrow. And Hayden's character's like, but will it? Will the sun rise tomorrow? My faith has been shaken in this just like it has in God.
So here's the question. Once this is said and done, shall we ask to meet the writer?
I think so.
Yeah, when all's said and done, there's a question of fun. You asked to meet the writer of this particular... Okay. You go to this troupe's unauthorized production, and afterwards you go to meet with the troupe. And when you arrive, you are noticed for being wealthy people who are clearly out of place. Like, you're obviously knights, you have squires with you. I think most of the actors recognize who you are, Kendric, and they are aware that they're probably in a lot of trouble. the troop master comes out. He is wearing a gold half cape in like something like silk and like a purple doublet, and he steps out very precisely like a ballet master. He has that thing where like he wears tight leather with like a bunch of buckles. He looks like a Final Fantasy character from the early 2000s, or like a Kingdom's Heart character. Yeah, he steps out and walks very deliberately and says, "Ah, I see that I gaze upon the order of the axe. Welcome, gentlemen and dames."
Well done, sir. Well done.
Ah, thank you. I am sure all have enjoyed our performance of comedy and parody.
It's quite good.
I am
Indeed,
so glad to hear the subject of tonight's entertainment enjoyed our little soiree. There was some concern that you might turn into a wolf and consume us all. You would not do such a thing now, would you?
No, I wouldn't.
So is your act just here, or are you taking your act on the road?
Oh, we act wherever we can. It is difficult to find official authorization, and so one must play out in the fields as far from prying eyes as possible. But many are willing to slip us a coin because what we say is true, or truth in a way.
Would you accept our coin?
I believe we already have.
No, I mean beyond the entry fee.
Are you offering us patronage?
We don't look. I can't offer you ongoing patronage, but I wish to at least throw some funds your way so that you can continue to grow your company and expand your story.
I must say, while I do not mind having such additional funds, I can only say this, that we will not be silenced or deviated from the message we wish to spread.
Don't ask you to be.
Then I will accept your filthy lucre. Your hard-earned Roman cash. How much do you want to give this guy, conspicuously?
3 libra.
Okay. That's pretty good.
Jesus, that's more than it costs to run a troop for the year.
Right, but again, they would, they make money at their performances even without your patronage. These people have no protections, and they are not performing in a town hall or in the castle or on a stage or in the village green. They're an unauthorized production.
Nothing to stop like the subjects of their play walking up and murdering them.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
What they're doing.
I mean, you're knights. I think that if you walked up and murdered them, it would still be a capital punishment, but arresting them for this disrespect of you would not. Yes, hanging or killing someone is a crime subject only by the king. Only the king can hand out capital punishment. The book is extremely clear on this point.
I would say because we're not in our own lands, that is the case.
Yes.
Well, we could probably cut their tongues out if we wanted to.
Yeah, of course. They're just peasants or serfs. One of them.
Have them branded.
Sure. If you wanted
I understand that parody is a good way to diffuse. Like the more outlandish the story becomes, the less people are inclined to believe it.
We were hoping to get a sort of moon theme going on, but we don't have a special effects budget. Someone walks over with the bucket and is like, "This is the only special effect I got, Governor."
Well, it was an excellent performance.
It's so tense right here. Like, the true master is clearly like relaxed around you, and all of the actors are like, "Oh shit, we're so fucked. We're so fucked."
Kyned is obviously tickled by this and has been taking copious notes and is going to definitely 100% give them to breakfast at Tiffany's at the winter feast.
Wow. So the worst part about this is the intellectual property theft of stealing their parody and handing it to your official troupe. Then they can backdate it and claim they invented it. They just have to send a message to themselves through the post, through the king's message system. Oh, sorry. I'm actually... I was about to move ahead. Is there anything else you wanted to do at this extremely awkward conversation?
No.
It is late when you leave, and you find yourself here at Lambert Castle. There is a sort of air of commerce here that isn't present in Salisbury. It's not to say that Salisbury is particularly poor, but this is the King's Road we're talking about. And Lambert Castle is at one of the splits. So there are 3 roads that run into here that are all well traveled. You can see that there are a whole 6 inns at this place where merchants might stay the night. And you can see even now the inns are starting to harass people to getting inside and then closing the gates, locking the merchants and their wares and their horses inside with them. Protection being offered, oaths given, promises of payment come the morning should they be safe and all of their goods protected. You see a wealth here as well. Obviously, forestry is huge and a castle that is right in the middle of the town. We've got, you know, the typical moat and mott and bailey here, but wood is transiting in every direction. Good Lamborian wood and all the industries that come with that. And it's clear that Lambert is a town that has many villages that feed goods to it. The one thing that perhaps you do miss is those fish, because while the water sources may be fresh here, the rivers are not as close as those who have lived in Salisbury, and you got that fresh water. My man here and his skill at boating, or whatever it is, boating or swimming.
Swimming.
Yeah. This town is a little bit too gamey for you. Not enough fish.
Well, I suppose we have the choice to either try and find accommodations in town and then go to the castle in the morning to greet the Lord, or approach a castle tonight under the hope of hospitality. I mean, surely he would be aware that a group of knights and their squires have arrived in town. And the longer we leave it, the more disrespectful it becomes.
Let's go to the castle.
Get it over with tonight so that we can get on the road in the morning.
Okay.
Indeed.
I think we've already stabled our horses, though.
But
the castle.
I am trying to find this guy's name. It's so weird because Lambert is listed as one of the legates of Britain, but also they do not exist on this list of the legates of Britain. The Duke of Lindsay shows up, but not the Duke of Lambert. I didn't know I'd have to make up a whole character right here.
I don't know that.
Can
it
we
has
just
to be
do
like,
a scene where you guys are leaving and Hayden just goes, well, that was a very pleasant visit. It's such a good morning to be riding out. How about
Yeah.
that?
He reminds me so much of my wife, in fact.
Wow, James, you're on fire today. Holy shit. That was good.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know that it needs to be like a full scene on its own, because it's basically us just following protocol and going, hey, what's up, dude? We're here.
Yeah, if he doesn't have anything for us, I'm happy to skip it.
Yeah.
Okay. Are we making the turn now into the forest?
Yes.
Okay. There
On
are
foot.
many paths to go on foot. I'm going to have to ask for one person to be the leader of this particular hunt. Moving about through the forest sauvage is a hunting check.
I feel like Kendric is the hunt master in our
Yeah, I
group.
think so.
Yeah, I feel like that's me.
Okay. You
And
get
these
a
are not your
minus
homelands.
15 to this, and you are not in Salisbury, so you don't get the automatic +5. And you have a
Can
-5 because you do not have dogs or anyone that is familiar with the local lands.
So that's a -20 overall?
Yes.
Okay. Can I impassion?
I don't see any reason why not, but I would need to know what passion you would like.
I would do Loyalty Order of the Axe for leading my brothers into this
Very well.
dangerous forest. Okay. So, okay. So that's +5. So I'm still at -15. Well, boys, we got a 5% chance.
So before you go any further, because I mean, like we knew we were going into a forest.
Yep.
Would we not have bought hounds, given that traversing a forest is a hunting
You
check?
want to buy some hounds, perhaps in
I mean, I think that it's hard to just go and buy hounds and start using.
Well, yeah,
them.
I mean, but you could buy a hunter and their services.
hire a hound master.
Okay, sure. I think let's say £2 worth will get them. Oh my god, Ember Island players. I just saw chat. I love the Ember Island players. So good. Wish they had done it in The Legend of Korra. Would have been incredible.
So I'll pay the £2.
Okay. All right,
And
you get a
higher.
+5 back. So now you have a 10% chance, which is what? Your skill is 2 now?
So I'm at -10.
Yeah.
So it's a 6.
Well. Oh, yeah. All right. Don't worry. I don't know how to do math.
That's a failure.
All right. You are lost. Glimo, you haven't made a lot of rolls today. Why don't you roll a d20?
Uh-oh.
Hey, just remember, this is all Spoon's fault.
2.
Okay. Things get difficult for all of you. It's hard to imagine for us modern peoples with our cell phones and our cars and our air conditioning, but it really sucks being lost in the woods for a full day. And you are lost in the woods for a full day. Your hunting bro is like, I was a fool. We've gone too far in. I know not what is around us. The hounds. And he's like losing his mind. He's like a fisherman in a classic Dunwich horror movie situation. Your squires are nervous. They too quickly become aware that you are lost and that this loss is not just because you've lost your way. The forest is alive and it is moving to prevent you from going forward. There is magic here. And now you cannot go back. You are going in circles. You are trapped. We cannot get out.
I mean, the only way to ensure we don't get out is to sit here and do nothing. So we should still continue to attempt to find a way through or out. Despair is not what we need here.
Hayden says, I do not think that we should light a fire this night. I am concerned the trees will retaliate. It's a fool's errand to come here.
Steel yourself, Hayden.
That was some real Darkest Dungeon right there. You steal yourself, Hayden.
One
There is
day we'll look
worse
back
yet
on
to
this.
come.
One day we'll look back on this night and laugh.
Hayden looks at you, pale, wide-eyed. Will we? Will we look back on this and laugh?
Well,
He
we will
lays
not if
down
you-
to sleep, cold with no fire.
I mean, do we agree to not starting a fire because Hayden's afraid of trees?
Well, if there is a fire, Hayden's not going to be anywhere near it. That's all I'm saying.
There is a.
Kyned starts building a fire.
I think Kendric will say, don't only use loose wood that you find on the ground, which there should be plenty of.
Of course. But I would have light this night.
Agreed.
I want the moment where like Treebeard happens upon our camp and sees all the trees we felled. Some of
These trees were my friends. I've known many of them since they were oak and acorn. Okay. I would like a D20 roll from you, Glimo, for making this fire real quick. Just an untyped D20 roll. We're going to coin flip this, evens and odds. Okay.
12.
All right. You get the fire built. No problems. James.
Yes.
Oh, no. I have to give Spoon his chance to succeed. Of course. The next morning, Spoon, of course, you have a chance to succeed again once more.
Am I still impassioned or no?
I'm going to leave that up to you, because if the answer is yes, that means that you are locked in on the passion for this whole Lost and Savage situation.
I would say yes, because like the situation has not changed enough that because I'm still trying to lead the Order of the Axe through the forest.
Sure.
Nope, that's still a failure.
Okay,
Close.
now James, you can roll a d20.
Nice.
You should be worried.
That's a natural 1.
Another day wasted as both the hunter and Hayden slip further into insanity. Not like a lot. They're not like, my God, abandon all hope. We have to kill each other and eat our flesh. But yeah, they're both, their morale is plummeting quickly. I mean, it's been a really bad time for Hayden. There's a lot of anti-Christian talk. He just got slammed on and watched everybody else get slammed on at that play. The next morning, they got lost, and now you're lost again. His spirits are dropping like the barometer.
Pendragon doesn't have the assist action.
Don't think so.
No.
Okay.
Well, there's nothing more to do but to keep going.
It is a long night for those who stand watch, which are the squires, to be clear.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of hooting of owls, nature's slowest flying predator. And somewhere you think you hear the distinct cry of a roseate spoonbill. Spoon.
Would you take a religion roll to lift the spirits of the Christians among us?
You know what, James? Yes, but only because it's you.
Okay, first I'm going to try impassioning love of God with a love of God of 9.
Oh boy.
No, I don't love God enough.
Maybe it's that God doesn't love you
And
enough.
I'm a terrible religion. I'm on a 19 there, so.
You tell me how you bungle this. How about that?
Look, I think that I do the typical, just have faith. Like God is testing us, but like I don't give any answers except for just trusting God.
I see you've been to a church before, yes.
Yeah, I don't give parables that talk about how people have escaped similar situations. It's just purely like God loves you. God will sort us out. Just believe in God, you'll be fine.
Faith.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. Thoughts and prayers, dickhead.
Jesus, there's too many atheists here. We're about to drive away all the Christians in the audience. Sorry to all the Abrahamic religions that are following this show.
Look, I would like to encourage all of Arthur's viewers to pray for me if they like.
Don't pray for him. He's too powerful.
I don't listen, audience. Don't pray for him. Pray for the dice. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say. I definitely offer thoughts and prayers to your dice, in particular, James. Every time we play Bud Bowl.
Is it
Right.
would a fairy lore roll help at all for finding our way through this crazy?
I don't think it would help you,
forest?
but I think you could roll fairy lore here to get something interesting.
Why not? That's a success.
You are becoming aware through the vibe of this place. You run a vibe check real quick. And you are aware that if the horses had come with you, they would have been lost here. You would have been separated from them in some way. It's not just horses. It appears that all animals in the forest are driven away by your presence. Only humans remain among your company.
I will very quietly mention this to Kendric and make sure that Hayden can't overhear it, because, you know, as much as I have enjoyed needling him, I think that Kyned has realized that it might be a bridge too far.
Quietly, Kendric will say back. They did warn us that the forest would work against me.
It is quite strange that we are the only living things.
Yes, it is.
Still with you. Let me know how I can be of assistance, but I know that your woodcraft is better than mine.
Let's hope I can find my way through this enchantment.
Before we go on break, I just want to say enchantment.
Enchantment.
Yes, James, I know your favorite scene in that whole game is the pile of dead bodies at the end of the game and that guy alone in the room.
What happened to you?
That's pretty good. It's a good game too. Who did I just find out hadn't played Lawson has never played Mass Effect. He's only played Mass Effect Andromeda. Whoa, my God. Can you imagine Andromeda being the first and only Mass Effect you've ever played? It's no wonder that boy's turned out like he did. You know, speaking of Lawson, we'll return for the third in about 5 minutes, at which point Kendric will make yet another roll, but this time it'll be a success. That's thoughts and prayers. Well. So you've returned while we're returning. Queuing you up, Kendric. It's all on you. Now, hold on. First off, you're muted, but second off, we need to take an opportunity to allow YouTube viewers in the future to pray into the past to bless your dice so that you roll the 4 that you're destined to roll right now.
Give me the power. Send me your energy.
Okay.
For the spirit bomb of a hunting roll.
Listen, these dice have been left in the moonlight, okay?
You should just keep re-recording the scenes we roll for. That way, when you say it on YouTube and they pray, it comes through.
I see, James. You would have me cheat to make it seem authentic.
The magic of editing.
Isn't that your least favorite part of Dungeons and Dragons, that you complain about constantly that I'm not actually sure is happening or not? There it is. James wants us to be more like Dungeons and Daddies. That's where we're at. Okay, shoot those dice. What we got? Oh, it wasn't a 4. I mean, I had a 5% chance of looking like a giga genius. All right,
so close.
Glimo, it's time for another D20 roll from you.
Uh-oh.
This time, if you roll badly, it is your fault.
2.
Okay. Day 3 of being lost.
Hit him with another hunting check.
This is my least favorite thing about hunting as well. It's just like, all right, check. You know, I prepared myself with Crusader Kings 3 just to have events for like feast and hunting and traveling, and instead you walk in and say, oh no, James, why would you do this? Why would you do this? Okay, here we go. Spoon, I'd like you to roll a d6.
But
Okay. You spend the whole day chasing ghosts. Phantoms elude you at the edge of your vision. You, horseless, stumble throughout the day, heavy, if not with the weight of your armor that your squires bear, then with the knowledge that once more it will be a hungry, thirsty, tiring day. You go over a short rise, not even a hill, and you see that there is a man leaning down next to a creek, or if you're from the part of America I'm from, a crick, filling a jar with some crick water. And he says, "Oh, hey there, guys. How's it going?"
well met.
"Yeah, well met."
But well, do you know your way around the forest?
"Oh, sure. I'm a local. Just a few hills over is Lambert Castle. You fellas look right proper fancy. I can lead you out of the forest with me if you'd like." And then he just stands unnaturally like a Skyrim NPC and begins walking with an incredibly slow model towards you, stands before you, and begins drinking from his glass of water.
Very well. That would we seem to have gotten lost.
After an unnaturally long pause, he nods and says, "Sure, come with me. I'll lead you out of the forest." And then, what is clearly someone recording a voice line at a different time, because their voice sounds differently and they're way too loud, he says, "Follow me!"
I don't know if
You...
this is Arthur memeing or if this dude's suspicious.
He shouldn't be suspicious. This is just me memeing, to be clear.
Okay.
Your characters have no reason to be suspicious of his actions. He acts like any other backwoods peasant of this place. All of Logres is filled with people like this. You know, buggy NPCs. What you don't know is that the hooded figure was Todd Howard the whole time. Yeah, he leads you out of the forest back into County Lambert at Lambert Castle, and you, as the sun is setting, you see Lambert Castle with torches lighting up along the outside of it, and you even see like the unauthorized production of, oh boy, what do we call your play? I'll let the audience suggest names for your play, but they're definitely running through like the third production of it for the day. And you can see that they're now selling tickets that are like, stay the whole day, get 3 performances of it, you know, that sort of thing. Catch it on the repeat.
Yeah. I think we regroup at the castle.
Okay. You see your horses for the first time in a few days. You get washed up and you have a good meal. It is a bit cold since you've arrived after dinner, but the cooks pull something out of the pantry for all of you. You're fed and watered, and off screen, the Lord once again welcomes you to stay at his castle.
Well, that didn't go well.
Aiden's like mega coping. He's like, you know what? I think it did go well. I think that God is preventing us from going any further in. God is
Very well could
omnipotent,
be.
omnipresent, all-knowing. If he wanted us to move forward, we would. Because our quest is a holy one. Yeah. Yeah, we're doing the right thing.
Amy, for you, Kendric. So, whatever you choose to do, I'll support.
Think Kyned will get Kendric, Kendric or Kendric and Gwgan alone and say, I'm happy to go with you again, but I feel like the younger members are losing their resolve.
If we return, every member should make the decision to return individually.
I feel like it might be prudent, if you want to go into the woods again, that we send the younger members back to check on Salisbury. I worry that they wouldn't have the fortitude to continue.
I also have no wish to lead us back into an enchanted forest that does not want me to enter, to perhaps be lost for the rest of our days.
I mean, let's not be melodramatic. We were lost for 4 days.
Yes, but you've hunted with me before, Sir Gwgan. It's more than me just not knowing the territory. I say we give it one more attempt, and if we still cannot find our way through, we go home.
Aiden puts his hand on your shoulder and he says, it will not be one more attempt. It will be the first attempt and only attempt. Because I feel it in my bones. God is with us tomorrow. We will succeed. We will find our way to the heart of this forest so that we might burn out the fairy lord who sits at the center of it.
Well, I appreciate your confidence, Sir Hayden.
God wills it. When he says that, a bunch of extras from Kingdom of Heaven show up and all begin shouting, God wills it.
Assemble the army.
I see. You've also seen this movie as well.
I love Kingdom of Heaven. Director's cut only, though.
Just the blacksmith, of course.
Yeah. And I'm Richard the Lionheart. I'm still just a blacksmith. All right. We rest up. Hire the same dude.
I mean, you don't have to hire him again. He's still with you.
Yeah. And then
He says,
resupply.
I, my lord, I'm still contractually obligated. I'm bound by the chains of honor, though they weigh heavily upon me. Then he turns and begins walking away really slowly.
I'm bound to carry your burdens.
I'm sworn to carry your burdens. Hey, listen, that's my favorite mod, was the Lazy Lydia mod that replaces all of her voice lines with that line. So she spams it constantly. Listen, you play Skyrim because you want to replace all the models with big titty anime girls. I play Skyrim to make Lydia suffer. We are not the same.
Can I maintain my impassion?
Yeah, sure, why not? It's not going to make you any more or less likely to roll a 4 on this next roll.
Sure. Nope, still a failure.
Oh.
Okay.
Right,
I believe we're on Glimo on the D20s.
Four.
You just lost. Day 5.
All right. Another hunting roll.
Oh yeah.
Hey!
I haven't seen it yet. Is it a 4?
It's
a
a 5. Yeah.
Can't even
That's
get that right.
That's the first of 5 required successful rolls, yeah?
What is this, Shadow Run?
Each time you fail, it resets.
Oh my god. Jesus, I'm glad you didn't go into game design, James. Suffering. What are you? A locksmith master? The true Bethesda game rep here. All right.
I didn't tell you, AP. I mean, I was going to tell you the day on the call we had, but we sort of ended it sooner. I was going through Escape Room Simulator, doing all just the single standalone escape rooms, because I saved the batches for doing it with you and Connor. But I did one and I finished it, but I had to brute force one of the puzzles. And even
James
now, knowing the answer,
forcing.
I couldn't figure out how it got to that, and I can't find any information online on how that puzzle was working. Like, 'cause it was a tombstone. You have like the birth date, and you have to guess the death date. I'm like, okay, well, this person can't be more than 100 years old, so I've only really got 100 numbers to check. And that got it for me as a 3-digit code, but I cannot work out how anybody could have gotten that, and it's really frustrating me. Even Googling, I couldn't find it. So.
Well, first, hey, remember when you corrected me during the intros of the episode of...
I do it a lot, Arthur. I can't remember.
Yeah, sure. Okay, I don't have to give a specific one. First off, we don't play with Connor. We play with Gymtopia, who also watches the show, so we've just honored it. And second, that's weird to me because you solved the chemistry puzzle, which I was like, what the fuck is this puzzle? So you're Mr. Sit Down and Do the Math. Okay. Well, on a success... you move deeper into the Forest Sauvage. Or you can leave if you want to.
And I think we want to go deeper into the Forest Sauvage, do we not?
All right, I'm going to avoid making samurai
did everyone come with us, or did any of the younger group leave?
I think we'll do a separate scene. I assume you're including Hayden in the youngers.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so it's three NPCs.
The NPCs.
Yeah,
Right,
NPCs.
it's Hayden, Seeth, and Erwin. And like Hayden is like, he told you that he's 100% behind this, and then when he's alone with Seeth and Erwin, he's like shaking, resolve shaking, morale bar dropping. Seeth is like, well, if they say we should go home, they've given us permission. And Erwin is like, no, we must see this done. We cannot abandon our brothers in the Order of the X. Steel yourselves. Lock in. It's time to show the true muster of our character.
I was going to say, I feel like to make it easy, we could also say, like, is there someone in the group that could take message back to our various estates as to what we're doing? Like, give someone an out, just in case.
I love that you keep giving people out, and Erwin is like, no, we will send the squires back.
Send the horses back.
Yeah, of course. If there's one thing we know about horses is that if you give them a message, they'll return home like pigeons.
Hey, look, I've watched Lassie,
Yeah, of
What's
course.
that, Lassie? Timmy's falling down the well.
Because horses are dogs, is what we've learned from this conversation. You find your way to the second largest hill fort in all of Britain, Burrow Hill. The inner defense of this covers 4.5 acres at the very top, and at the bottom, 150 acres. You come out of the woods and see this massive hill fort, truly impressive.
Occupied or ruined?
It is hard to tell as you come out of the woods. You are trying to check to see if that would be the case. And the sky is covered in birds. From every direction, they begin swarming you. You have entered the vulture dimension. No, first off, you don't get that reference, Glimo. You don't get that reference, but it's okay.
I just figured we're
It's true.
Hitchcock.
I was making a meme reference, and I appreciate that you laugh with it, but I know that you don't know what it's from. They are small birds with a white breast and then a black coloring otherwise. And there are thousands, perhaps millions of them going in every direction, crisscrossing the skies. They literally blot out the sun. And then a much larger one, basically, these are small enough that they could easily fit in your hand. One the size of a child begins like hopping its way. So it has its wings in and it's just hopping sideways towards you and it's like, hey man, what's up? How's it going? I'm here to spy on you.
we know what kind
And you're
of
doing
birds
an
these are?
excellent job.
Yeah, make a fairy lore roll.
Me or Sir Kyned?
I mean, you asked for what type of birds they are, so it's fairy lore.
Okay. Failure.
Okay.
Well met, noble spy.
Wow. Where you come from, spying is noble? Cool.
Well, may we ask for whom you spy?
Oh, the king of the forest sauvage.
Hmm.
Yeah, man. That's sick.
Very well.
Would you let him know that we're seeking him?
I mean, he knows. Everyone knows. All of China knows you're here. I can't.
Who's China?
If I'm gonna do this show, I have to stop memeing and be more serious. I'm ruining Pendragon with my memery.
I light the beacon and I go, good.
Wow. Oh, what a scene, though. What a scene. Mulan was fucking dope. All right. This little bird just kind of stares at you. He's probably about 10 feet away on the ground. He's still hopping towards you sideways and looking at you with the left side of his beak. Face.
Do you have a name?
Me?
Yes.
Yeah, my name's Magpie, man.
Okay, Magpie Man.
Yeah, what's going on? No. I mean Magpie, comma, man. I mean, your name is Man. My name is Magpie.
Can you fly?
What? How dare you ask that question? Of course I can fly.
Okay. I was just wondering if we could outrun you.
Can you outrun me? I mean, yeah. So here's the thing is that mammals like you normally couldn't outrun me. But, you know, of course, you can sweat. And so you have a lot more endurance. Humans can run for a really long time. And magpies can only fly for like a limited amount of time before we get tired and need to sit down.
You don't migrate to the south in the winter?
You know, as a member of the Corvidae family, I should probably know that offhand, but the game master doesn't know that, so I'm just going to leave that one up in the air, just like magpies.
Well,
I guess we'll carry
I guess
on.
we continue with our new.
Who's
companion.
is that? I point to Burrow Hill and I say, is that fort occupied?
What? That fort?
Yes.
You want to know about that fort?
Yes.
I don't know.
Okay.
Could
You've
be.
been very helpful.
Oh, thank you.
Where is your master?
Hmm? What's that?
Like, where is your master?
Hmm?
The king.
Hmm?
Kendric just starts walking away.
Hey.
So,
Hey, come back. We should keep talking more. You could learn a
Well, you
lot
could-
from me.
can
Hey.
you not talk and walk?
Hey. Oh, hey. I mean, I'm so much smaller than you. I have to walk and hopping is not walking, by the way. Hey, come back. No, stop.
Would you like to? Well, is it big enough? Is it too big? It couldn't land on a shoulder, for example.
It would have to be a big person to do so, but many of you are Kimrickian big,
Yeah.
so it probably could, if it could fly.
Do you want to hop up on my shoulder?
No.
Oh.
I think
Are you offering me transport?
If you wish to talk, join us while we would talk and walk.
And you will not
well.
harm me?
I will not do you any harm.
Very well. I shall travel on you. This is very normal where I come from. This isn't
Yes.
weird at all.
You can trust me. I've never harmed anybody that I promised to protect. I don't say that.
Oh man, that would have caused some problems.
Yeah.
Okay, where do you want to go? What do you want to do?
it's a great question.
Are we heading towards the fort?
There's also a road that continues well past the fort, deeper into the forest.
Yeah, I don't think this fort is where we're supposed to go.
It has been put on our path, though. But this is your quest, so
I don't think this is it. And Kendrick continues down and further into the forest along the road.
Okay. Everyone else following?
Yes.
trying to work out whether I want to try and convert the bird.
To what?
Christian.
Which type of Christian?
British.
That's right.
I mean, the bird is British, so probably not that difficult. But also, it's a fairy creature, so
I don't know that it has any place in the kingdom of heaven, I'm afraid. But I'm not going to say that to it.
oh wow! You're telling me birds don't have any place in the kingdom of heaven, in your understanding?
Not fairy birds.
Whoa, oh, so you're saying fairy birds don't have souls, then? Oh boy. Listen, this is an eschatological question that's way outside the bounds of this show.
I'm pretty sure that Gwgan prescribes to the concept of Christianity that God created man above all others, and so that only men have, only humans have a place in heaven.
Oh boy. You know what? I'm not going to have this theological debate with
Look,
you.
that's not that's Gwgan's position, not mine.
I concur. I just don't want to spend my time arguing the Bible.
You don't want to argue with a zealot?
I have tomorrow night for that, James. That's for our other show, Imperium Maledictum. So
Yeah.
the magpie will come with you and will answer no questions about the king or the forest, but will ask slightly annoying questions anytime no one is saying anything.
I mean, I like to try and keep, the conversation going. I guess I will try to talk with the magpie about the things that interest me other than religion, So I like poetry, for example. So, I'll attempt to discuss poetry with the bird.
Okay.
What-
I'm not a big fan of poetry. I don't understand it.
You probably haven't heard the bright poetry.
That might be true, but most people, when they're doing poetry, they're literally just writing a novelization with no music set to it. And sometimes there's not even rhyming, which makes you wonder, is it really poetry? Is it poetry, or is it just reading your novel out loud?
Well, you don't need rhyming to have a rhythm or to have a consistency in form. Poetry is more about...
I'm a big fan of Will Smith. There has to be rhyming at all times.
So I think that you're confusing poetry with rapping.
Will Smith isn't a rapper, according to his Wikipedia page.
Does it say he's a poet?
There are plenty of people that are listed as poets that would surprise you, like
You
Notorious B.I.G.
You just discounted him as a rapper because it says on his Wikipedia page. Are you implying that his Wikipedia page is he's a poet? I don't know why I'm having this conversation with the bird, given that neither Will Smith or Wikipedia appear in this setting. But I'm just letting you know
I feel
that
like what's actually happening is that Hayden is watching you lose your fucking mind, letting a fairy bird ride on your shoulder and talk about things that no one understands.
I mean, for Gwgan is actually amused by the concept of having deep conversations with this bird in terms of, like discussing the nature of poetry. Does it require rhyme, or is it simply, form and structure? So that's why he's having this conversation, whatever that takes.
The six of you plus the bird continue to travel the road. Oh, go ahead, Glimo.
Oh, I think Kyned wants to talk to him about the nature of spycraft.
The bird?
Yes.
Okay.
Because the bird was spying on us, so
right. Yeah.
Kyned
Okay.
is
What's up, man? You like spying
try
on
to
people?
get more information about how to be a more effective agent.
All right. I noticed that you move forward. Have you ever considered moving sideways?
All the time.
Why don't you try it? Are you moving? What is that?
It's like doing like, yeah, he's moving sideways.
Okay.
Like
The
a
magpie
crab.
nods sagely and is like, yeah, exactly. That's how you have to move. When you are locomoting on the ground, sideways is the way to go. You have to be able to keep your eye on everyone. How about you? What's your top tip for spying? Not that I need any help at doing my job.
My brother told me most important thing is to never get thrown off a roof.
I have to tell you, I don't think that's going to be a problem for me.
Hmm.
As the six of you and the magpie are making your way down the road, a tired looking man and two attendant guards bearing emblazoned shields and spears move. They like to block your path, and the attendant looks at you very tiredly and says, okay, you're on your way to see the king of the Forest Sauvage?
Indeed.
Yes, okay,
Yes.
well, I'm a fairy, we're all fairies, everyone's really excited. Do you have any questions before we get started?
It started with what?
The puzzle, of course.
Very well. What is the puzzle?
Okay, so behind me there are two guards. One of them lies and one of them tells the truth. There's no trickery here. You get to ask one question and then you make a determination as to which guard's path you want to walk down behind me. The road is straight, but again, if you pick the wrong guard, we brutally slaughter you and we eat your entrails and then we burn your bodies. If you pick the right guard, you get to continue on your path unmolested. There's no
Right guard or right path?
Yeah, you want the right path. So there's like a lot of questions you can ask about this scenario, right? Like a lot of, am I lying about it? I'm not. There's no do arounds. You get one question. I'm going to give you like 60 seconds to decide amongst yourself what question you want to ask and which guard you want to ask it to. I mean, this is a very famous puzzle among our people.
I mean, I'm going to figure that I think we all as players know the answer to this puzzle. So, how how much do you want us to go over this?
How confident are all of you in your answers?
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
We skip through this whole scenario then, and we leave the answer to anyone who hasn't seen the movie Labyrinth. How about that?
Yeah. If you haven't seen the movie Labyrinth, my advice is to go watch the movie Labyrinth because it is a classic film. And
Wow, James, what an incredible reach on that one. If you haven't seen the movie Labyrinth, my advice is see the movie Labyrinth.
yeah,
Well, you know what, James? My advice is if you haven't seen Master and Commander Far Side of the World, you should see Master and Commander Far Side of the World. We're going to end our scenario here today with you arriving at the outskirts Castle Savage. I have to say, I had planned entirely on the adventure back in Tribruit, and then the one past it. And so everything that happened after that, when you turned away, I was like, ooh, okay. I guess the rest of this fucking episode is going to be a crapshoot then.
I mean, from memory, the way past the tribute, so tribute puzzle is pretty much just to like run, like just like bulls rush trying to get past
You
them.
can get captured and then you get ransomed back, and you while you're being ransomed, you can say, hey, I want to go adventure, and he'll let you go.
Yeah. My group came through Lambor as well, if it helps.
Any questions, comments, or concerns here at the end of the episode?
I believe so.
Fun times.
Everyone good for next week?
No.
Glimo, you got any outro you want to do? I have to ask because if
Um,
I don't ask, you get angry.
I'm not gonna get angry.
You're gonna get even. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, you know. Find me in AP's Discord, twitch.tv/Glimo. If you're watching live, I might be on stream tomorrow doing some leather work. If you're watching this on YouTube, by the time it comes up, I won't be on stream anymore, so don't worry about it.
I mean, that's not how time works. What if they do immediately switch over to twitch.tv/Glimo and you are streaming?
I won't be.
So your leatherworking stream tomorrow is your last stream ever?
Well, no, but it'll be, you know. Yeah, I don't know.
Glimo.
You can find me, you know, when I'm around. But I'm working on something that I need to have done for next weekend. So
Okay.
I'll probably be doing some stuff tomorrow, maybe.
Probably not a derby hat then.
It is not a derby hat, no.
Any hints at what it will be, or is it a deep held secret?
I'm working on a steampunky leather top hat.
Oh, nice.
Very cool.
Oh, steampunk. Well, James, I feel obligated to ask if you have an outro.
No. I'm looking forward to us getting stumped by all the puzzles that require, you know, ridiculously high rolls. In the, you know, I think we might have a bit more of a roundabout waiting for us to get good rolls, but the payoff is probably worth it. Maybe.
Damn, there's nothing I love more than puzzles that require players to roll good rather than logically figuring something out. Boy, what an incredible game mechanic. You know, this is a solvable problem because Fallout solved it. All of the puzzles you can't solve with skill checks are solvable with violence.
Feel like if we turn to violence in the Castle Sauvage, it won't go as well for us as it goes in Fallout.
Maybe. I mean, can you imagine the loot from killing everyone in the Castle Sauvage?
Unless we've got a mini nuke. If we've got a mini nuke, we should be fine.
Oh, well, unfortunately, this isn't the BattleTech charity game. So.
But it could be. If you send Arthur enough money, he will give us a mini nuke, I'm sure.
Under no circumstance. Listen, there's plenty of anachronisms I'm willing to introduce into Pendragon through my unwilling memery, but a mini nuke is not one of them. A Connecticut Yankee? Yes.
Every man had his price.
Why did you say that so sinisterly? I'm so baffled by the way you said that. That's it, friends. We're out. I'm worried James is gonna do something now before next week to try to pressure me into giving him a mini nuke.
Look, I mean, all I'm offering you, Arthur, is money.
That's what I'm worried about. Is it blood money? Has it been laundered? Has it not been laundered? I'm not sure I want laundered or unlaundered money.
Well, if it has been laundered, you won't know it, so that's fine.
I mean, it should at least smell like lavender if it's been laundered correctly. But wow, there we go. That's me. I'm really reaching on that one.